So the third game, we're really trying to focus on the concept of what it means to actually cut someone down with a sword. And we need to portray Yu Hayabusa as his dark hero. And we really want to get that visceral violence, that visceral nature across. So it will definitely have a darker feel, hopefully a more realistic feel, more mature as in an adult version, not just a 13-year-old going and hacking stuff up. That's sort of where the concept for this game is coming from. Yu Hayabusa as a dark hero, and really giving the sense that you are cutting someone down with a sword. You're that close.
Yeah.
There are fans and even some of the creators sort of like, why do we need a plot? But we know that that's the way that games are moving. They're going for this more immersive experience, more cinematic experience, and we know that's sort of the future of video games as entertainment. So we need something compelling there. We need something that modern gamers and gamers today will connect to on an emotional level, rather than just seeing gauges up on the screen and going for the number of combos. It's been interesting because we've worked with the writer for the very first Ninja Gaiden back on the NES, Masato Kato. He's also worked on several other very significant and well-renowned Japanese games. So he's been brought back into the process, and we'll definitely see sort of his writing and his sort of style through the course of the story. But I don't know, there's been a concerted effort on the part of Team Ninja to make this a more realistic, even within the fantasy, to bring some of the fantasy elements into a more realistic atmosphere, a more immersive atmosphere, and to really work at that. In past games, we've had essence, yellow orbs that pop up out of dead bodies, and you absorb those, and then you go to dragon statues that are conveniently placed throughout the world and transport you to a shop. We've done away with those. So there's sort of gaming functional metaphors. We're trying to work those more into the actual gameplay in the world of Ninja Gaiden 3. For us, I think Team Ninja is known for smooth movement and great combat. And even if we're trying to take the game in some of the game metaphors, make it less video gamey, we want to keep that core gameplay there. So having it run at 60 frames per second with animation that is as smooth as we can get it, that is extremely high priority for us. If we lose that, then we lose our existing fans, and we lose sort of what Team Ninja has been known for. And so within that, first we managed to get that 60 frame per second combat running, and we'll work from there to see, push the hardware for how much detail we can get into the enemies and how much detail we can get into, the surrounding backdrops. It's an ongoing process, and trust me, during development you will see it slow, the frame rate slow, extremely slow, and okay, we can't put that in there, and okay, we need to rework that. That actually took a lot of planning, because in the past we know that fans have been disappointed with the camera work for past Ninja Gaiden games. So that's definitely something that we wanted to improve for Ninja Gaiden 3. And in addition, something that we're, tech-wise, that we're now able to do is that sort of time control, where it sort of slows down and you zoom in. So that's something that we've just sort of been able to work into Ninja Gaiden 3 as a new aspect. So that we've definitely tried to emphasize camera work and make sure that we can keep the player aware of their surroundings and make sure that they know what's going on at all times. When we say that Ninja Gaiden 3 is trying to be more accessible, we're trying to, instead of just putting up a bunch of difficulty levels and saying, choose easy if you haven't played it before. We don't think that the people who have been turned off by it, or the people that have thrown their controllers away because of given up and walked away, they're not going to want to just choose easy. We want to offer them sort of a different play style. We think of it as them having sort of different skills. If they're used to a different action game, then they're used to a different system. And it's not that they're bad. It just it's something else. It's a system. So we have play styles, and we have sort of hero play style and a ninja play style. And the ninja play style is there for the players who know the game and like the challenge and want all that, that great crunchy combat challenge. The hero play style is sort of a different entrance into the same Ninja Gaiden 3 content. But you'll have some things going on behind the scenes, like an auto guard, auto evade. It's there so that players can, they can focus on the overall experience rather than each individual battle and worrying about whether they have to guard or whether they have to evade and all of that kind of stuff. But it's not just a matter of nerfing the difficulty and making the enemies just stupid. The enemies in hero mode will actually be as aggressive or more aggressive than in the normal difficulty in ninja mode. But the computer will work behind the scenes to try and raise your playing up to that level through some of that behind the scenes support. For those people, we're definitely putting in the hardcore elements. We know that those are the fans that have been there throughout the series and have supported us as much as they have. So we definitely want to show them love as well. And that challenge will definitely be there. It's just, we also want to allow for other players who haven't had that experience with Ninja Gaiden to come in and join the party, put it that way. And maybe we can transform them into those hardcore people as well. PlayStation Move support is implemented in Hero Mode. So when you go into Hero Mode, you can choose whether you want to use the regular controller or PlayStation Move. And originally, people think, how precise PlayStation Move is. So we're doing sword play, so of course you want to swing the sword, one-to-one motion with what Yu Hayabusa is doing. But if you do that, nobody here is a professional swordsman, so you can't get the precision that you're seeing on screen, and that becomes a barrier to the enjoyment of the game. We think especially for the people that we're targeting for hero mode, they would be okay with less precision and more. They want to feel like the hero and just going in. They want to feel like the badass rather than actually going in and doing all that. So it should hopefully give you a little more of a connection to the action that you're actually seeing on screen rather than just a button push. If you do that one final push, if your blade is in an enemy and you sort of swing it one last time to cut through, it'll give you that kind of visual connection as well. If you're climbing on the walls using the PlayStation Move, hopefully that will increase your connection to the world that way. So I guess we're looking more for metaphors for the game actions rather than one-to-one controls. We looked at Connect. We tried some things out. We couldn't find a way to really get that visceral connection through Connect. And when looking at sort of development resources and fans and what would make fans really excited, we figured it would be best to put our resources in some other aspect for 360 users. So there will definitely be content for 360 users. Our series fans that have supported us for so long, that we know that they'll be happy about that content. Just Connect wasn't quite right for this title. It's not to say anything bad about Connect, and it's definitely an intriguing piece of hardware, and it was fun to work with stuff. But just for this particular title, we don't want to be completely gratuitous. And I think the tack that we're taking for Ninja Gaiden 3 is a more mature take on violence. There is still a lot of blood going out, and you're going to be cutting down a lot of people. But we're trying to focus on the consequences of doing that and showing, what it means in terms of this dark hero, and through the course of the story. So while it is a violent game, we're trying to take a more adult and a more mature look at violence within Ninja Gaiden. We're not trying to tone down the game, and we know that it's a violent game. But I guess how we deal with that violence will hopefully take a little more mature, from an adult's perspective rather than just the spectacle of blood and gore and body limbs flying. Last year at E3, the new Team Ninja leader, Yosuke Hayashi, he was doing an interview and he mentioned that it's sort of like the soil is there. So if you cut the grass, the soil is still the same, and so you'll get the same sort of gains, the same things popping up again. It's definitely a time for new people to sort of come into their own and put their own spin on the way things have been done. And I think maybe the darker, prettier, more adult, mature take on violence might be one aspect of that. The current director for the Dead or Alive series is extremely passionate about fighting games, and that's his baby. And you can just tell when you're dealing with him that is his life and his passion, and he really wants that to succeed and wants to make just as fun a game as he can. So it's a continuation, but it's also sort of an evolution. And for me, it's an interesting time to be there. I wasn't around for the past, for Itagaki's era. I came in after he'd already left. And talking to the people, everyone there respects him as a game creator, as a leader for setting the vision for the team. Everyone very much respects him and the work that he's done, the games that he created. And I know everybody in the team is looking forward to his creations moving forward. But yeah, it's time sort of for another group to take that legacy and put their own spin on it. The people at the top of Team Ninja, and a lot of the other developers there as well, they do also play Western games. And so, I can talk Portal 2, and I can talk about Dead Space, and we can discuss all of these different games. But it's not like they're focusing on making a game for the West. They just want to make a game that they're passionate about, and hopefully everyone else is along for the ride. I do know that other developers in Japan, if they are making a game that they're passionate about, their sense and like where their passion lies might not be the same as in the West. The creators in Japan grow up on a different diet of entertainment. Even the hardest core otaku, manga reader, anime watcher in the West is still surrounded by a different sort of entertainment diet. In Japan, you're watching the Japanese TV, and you're watching Japanese news, and you're going to Japanese school and going to Japanese work, and everything. The environment is different, and the kind of entertainment that you get in that environment is different. And so, from the creators, they're going to, a different kind of entertainment will resonate with them. That being said, they can be very creative, and one thing that I feel from Western media sometimes is putting Japanese media or putting Japanese creators sort of in a box as they're Japanese. And it's either good because it's the weird, wacky Japanese, or it's bad because it's that weird derivative Japanese. But the fact that it's Japanese plays this huge chain on Japan. And I don't hear people talking about Swedish game design for Battlefield 3.
No. It would never be mentioned.
And, Fear, developed in Russia. The Witcher is in Poland. But nobody talks about the localization of that. And, I want to play the game in the original Swedish. That would just never happen. But for some reason, Japanese games have become Japanese games rather than just a game.